Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got an exciting video for you. It is the Boeing 737-400 start procedure. This one is slightly different than the rest, as we'll be using a GPU to do the initial startup of the aircraft. Before we can even get to closing the battery switch, we have to check the GPU for the correct voltage and cycles. After confirming that everything is correct, we make sure that the aircraft is receiving the power from the GPU. With that step out of the way, we can now proceed to the cockpit and start our pre-flight. Here we have a view of the overhead panel. From here we select to ground power, and just to double check that GPU power is correct. The correct power for the aircraft is 115 volt AC and 400 Hz. After that, we move over to the next step. We look for the lights test switch. This is just below the glare shield and just left of center on the pilot's instrument panels. With the switch now in test position, we have a look at all the lights in the cockpit. This includes the overhead panel, the glare shield, the pilot's instrument panel, as well as the center pedestal. This includes the display windows on the instruments. Here we look for missing digits. All the warning and display lights, be it orange, blue or red, have 2 or more light bulbs fitted to them. This is a redundancy feature just in case one of them fails. The master caution and fire test on the glare shields only have 1 light bulb, but fortunately there are 2 of them, they're left and right. The double light bulb feature also makes it easy to spot one that is blown, as one side of the light fitting will be dim while the other remains bright. Since we found no blown lights, we can now continue on with our pre-flight. There is a spare light bulb holder on the co-pilot side in the wall close to his right hand in case any of the light bulbs have to be changed. After selecting the test switch from the test position to either dim or bright, you can continue to adjust the lighting for the forward panels. Now that we can see a bit better in the cockpit, it is time to move over to the FMC flight management computer to tell the aircraft where in the world it is parked. Here we type in the airport identifier as well as the gate where the aircraft is parked at. In my case, the airport is FACT, which is Cape Town International Airport in South Africa. Next, we put in the gate number. In my case, it is Alpha 14. I purposely left the IRS system off just to show you what it looked like on the screen on the FMC when they weren't on. Now we can select both IRSs on. First do the battery check, then move into nav mode where the alignment will begin. As the IRSs are busy doing the alignment, you will see that the date and time will pop up on the FMC at the bottom left. This will be followed shortly after by the set IRS position. Now we use the line key selector just to the right of the gate of a 14. This will place the figures on the scratch pad at the bottom. Now with the figures in the scratch pad, we can select the line key next to the IRS position to place it there. And just like that, we are done. The aircraft will now know exactly where in the world it is. With the IRS system in the line mode, it takes about 7 minutes to complete the setup. This gives us time to complete our pre-flight. We can now do our setup and checks on the overhead panel. We now move over to the external lighting and making sure that the nav lights are on. We are moving past the air conditioning stage and the bleed because since we don't have the APU on, now this is relevant currently. We move on to the clickers and the clappers, which is the overspeed and stick shaker warnings. A quick check of the crew oxygen, followed by the window heat and test. Next we move over onto the video static system. Here we select it on, check all the lights go off, which means the heat is work and the system is normal. You will notice that I skipped going anti-ice test. Since we don't have bleed air available, we cannot test the system properly. Next we can select both electric hydraulic pumps on and will observe that the brake pressure indicator rises. With hydraulic pressure in the system, we can also check for leaks when we do the external walk around. Next, we can check the movement of the stab trim motor in the up and down position. We can also check the stab cutout switch operation. This is normally checked in the up and down movement while the motor is turning, but unfortunately I did have a free hand. The stab trim motor should not engage with the switch in the off position. Next, I make sure that the brakes are set since we have hydraulic pressure and that the indicator works. By moving the power levers forward, we actually reset the speed brake motor. This can be checked by putting the speed brake in the arm position and checking that the speed brake green arm light comes on. Here I'm selecting the co-pilot's FMC mode. It is from here where they continue their pre-flight and their setup. Now we continue in the overhead panel by first selecting the hydraulic pumps off. We make sure that no smoking and fasten seatbelt switches are in the correct position, and then follow that up by arming the emergency light systems and make sure that both equipment cooling switches are in the normal position. Let's continue. Here we can see that the IRS system is still busy aligning and that there is 6 minutes to go. I have left the galley power off. This can be turned on later when the APU is running. The left fuel tank pump is also left running, so that we're ready to start the APU later on. We check that the nav, transfer and display switches are in the normal position and then continue on by turning on the yaw damper. Lastly, we test the leading edge, flap and slat position indicator lights by pushing the button, making sure all the lights come on. Although not all the tests were done on the overhead panel, it will give you a good idea of how a pre-flight gets done before the crew arrives. Next, I did a test on a light cluster called a 6-pack, and you'll see the problem. The left top one is not turning on, which is supposed to be for flight control. It was illuminated just prior to the test, so it's here I'll call an avionic guy to have a look. It's time for him to do something as well. In any case, it's time for us to start the APU anyway, so let's go ahead and do that. But wait, before we get there, we have more tests to do. We have to test the squibs of the fire bottles, and then test the firewire system, and then test the T-handles, and then only start the APU. Now that all of that is done and happy, you can go ahead and select the APU start switch to on. Remember that we left the left-hand wind tank pump on. We can observe the low pressure switch go out, as well as monitoring the APU's temperature as it rises. Excuse me as I bark in this video. I was suffering a bit of a chest cold, and this is the after effects. Once the APU has come up to speed, the blue available light will be on. After the blue light is on, we still have to wait 1 or 2 minutes for the APU to stabilize before we can put the power on the bus and remove the GPU. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and finally, to my current subscribers, thank you very much for your support. Until next time.